Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be covering 5 cheap sports cars that you can buy on a budget. Now I was looking back through the sales that we've done the last few weeks and there was these 5 cars that stood out and I thought these cars were fantastic value for money. So we'll get into it straight after this little intro. Okay, let's kickstart with the Audi TT 2-litre TFSI S-Line Black Edition convertible. Now, for me, this car looked the absolute part. It's a 2011 model. It only had 65,000 miles, 208 brake horsepower. It's stylish, it's fun to drive. The Audi TT has a top quality finish on its interior. It's finished really well. It doesn't break the bank to drive this car, and like I said earlier, it's still great fun to drive. Now, we sold this car at $9.5 grand, and for me that is a lot of flash for very, very little cash. I think it's an absolute bargain, and if you're in the market for something fun to drive, convertible, consider yourself one of these Audi TT S-Line Black Editions. Number 2 on the list that stood out to me was the BMW Z4. Now, this was a 53 plate, 2003 53 plate car, and essentially it's a rival to the Audi TT. Obviously, it's a convertible as well, and it's just, with the Z4, it's just satisfying to drive. It has a comfy interior. It possesses that sort of classic car sort of look now. It's got all the formula for it, even though I think inside it feels a little bit old-fashioned still. It feels powerful, 190 brake horsepower, its handling is great, and it still, for me, looks stylish to drive. And this car only had 62,000 miles on the clock, and it is cheap. £5,200 we sold this car for, and I think that is an absolute steal for a Z4 that is, you know, like I said earlier, potentially has all the formula for that classic sports car feel. Don't know what you think, but I think that Z4 at that kind of money is a great purchase. Number 3 on my list that stood out was this little pocket rocket of the R-Bar 500. Now, it's the performance version, obviously, of the Fiat 500, which basically has sportier exterior looks. It's got firmer suspension and just a lot more power. I know, although it can sort of feel a little bit cramped inside in the interior, it still looks very sporty. It's great fun to drive. It's now later on morphed into the 595, which is a whole new different realm, but for me, at 7,490, 7.5 grand basically, and only 35,000 miles on the clock, I think this car is a perfect, fun little car to drive around town, around the city, and you can give it a right good blast. It looks well in the red, the alloys complement it, the side decals really make it pop. I think it just has a great combo, this car. And at 7.5 grand with them kind of miles on it, 35k on the clock, I just think it is a great purchase and a great fun car to drive. Now, moving on to car number 4 that I thought was great value for money. It's probably one of my favourites, and I'm really jealous because a friend of mine actually bought this vehicle from us, and it is a Golf R32. This 2007 plate Golf R32 is for me now becoming an all-time classic. It's got a 6-cylinder engine, it pumps out 250 brake horsepower, and it's one of them cars that still has proper, real performance behind it. It plays a proper tune with that 6-cylinder engine, and for me, it just ticks a hell of a lot of boxes for a fun car to drive. Now, it obviously can be a little bit thirsty. It's a 3.2 litre engine, but the way it drives and the way it sticks to the road with its four-wheel drive capabilities is just absolute second to none. And we sold this car for 7,990, just under 8 grand. It's got 99k on the clock, and for me that is just a great investment into becoming what I think is, like I've said earlier, something that's becoming an all-time classic. Don't know what your thoughts are, but for me that car is something that is just special and fun to drive. It looks the part. Now, the fifth and final car that I'm going to chuck in here is actually another Volkswagen Golf. Now, this one's a little bit newer. It's the Volkswagen Golf R. It's a bit more current, like I say, but it's probably one of the hottest Golfs ever to hit the market. And it's justifyingly so, because it stands out a mile above the likes of the GTI, the GTE, the GTD, and the options and the features alongside the four-wheel drive technology really do make this a car that is really, really sought after. And although for me the only thing is the sound is sort of underwhelming, it's masked by the actual petrol particulated filter, the technology that they've put in there. The sound is masked. That is the one downside, but it makes up for it in speed, its handling, and its all-weather capabilities. It is absolutely second to none for that. This particular car, 2015 model, 58,000 miles on the clock. We sold it at 15,990, so just a touch under 16 grand. For me, it represents value for money and a more modern-based car to the ones that we've already discussed. And it's 0 to 60 in just under 4.7 seconds. It goes about its business very discreetly whilst giving you great performance. And for me, that's why I've chucked the Volkswagen Golf R into the mix as my fifth car for cheap sports cars that you can buy today. So there you have it. 5 sports cars, all on a budget, that we have sold in the last few weeks through the dealership. And if you've liked watching this video, please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. I can see loads of you watching, you're not subscribing, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up. You can also follow me on my social media channels on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. The links are below. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.